Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great. Happy Sunday. Got a full slate of NFL action today, so be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all my links in the description below. And if you guys like betting on NFL player props, go ahead and sign up with ParlayPlay, guys. Get $10 just for signing up. Use it to build up your bankroll and get a nice cash out. And yeah, we'll hop into it here. A lot of good action on the board. I'm recording this on, a few days before Sunday because I'm gone for the whole weekend for the holidays, like I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. So, hopefully there's no, usually I can only do this with NFL because NFL, and college football, there's not really any line movement for the most part throughout the week, unless there's some crazy injuries. So, yeah. And I won't have any NBA videos out today. When you guys are seeing this, because I can't pre-record NBA videos because it's impossible. But so yeah, we'll hop into it here. A lot of good matchups, starting with the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals opening up as 3-point favorites with the over/under at 45. The last three head-to-head, Baltimore 2-1, 2-1 covering the spread. The over has hit in one out of the last three matchups. Lamar Jackson is questionable Sunday. We're going to see if he plays. He hasn't really practiced much this week, so we're really going to see. But could expect another Tyler Huntley start. Baltimore coming off a 31-30 loss against Green Bay on a 3-game losing streak. Cincinnati coming off a 15-10 win over Denver. Baltimore 5-1 in their last 6 against Cincinnati. 4-1 covering against Baltimore. 4-1 covering in their last 5. Cincinnati, just 1-5 covering at home. Not a good home covering team here. Joe Mixon is questionable. Be sure to check his status. There were some days he didn't practice, which would definitely be a big loss if he does not play. These teams did already play earlier in the season. That was a game Cincinnati, destroyed Baltimore 41-17 here. I like the Bengals at home. I really do. I'm taking a -2.5 and on the money line. That's if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. If Lamar Jackson plays, I like the Ravens +3.5 on the road. So that's where I'm going to lean for that matchup. Next matchup, we have the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots. Patriots opening up as 2.5-point favorites with the over/under at 43.5. The last three head-to-head, Buffalo 2-1, 1-2 covering the spread. The over has hit in one of the last three matchups. No Cole Beasley for Buffalo. Emmanuel Sanders is questionable. For New England, Damian Harris is questionable. Be sure to check his status. Otherwise, it'll be Ramondre Stevenson getting all the work. Buffalo coming off a 31-14 win over Carolina. The Patriots coming off a 27-17 loss against the Colts. Buffalo 3-7 covering against the Patriots. 4-16 against the Patriots. 3-17 on the road against the Patriots. I mean, virtually no success against New England. New England 7-1 covering in their last 8, 17-3 at home against Buffalo. The over has hit in 4 out of their last 5 home games here. I like the Patriots at home. They already beat Buffalo in a game, where it was pretty much just running. Patriots been a great home team, been a great covering team, 9-5 covering the spread. I like the Patriots at home, -2.5. I think that's the perfect spread margin here. And taking the Patriots at home here. All right, next matchup, we have the Detroit Lions versus the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons opening up as 5.5-point favorites with the over/under at 43. The last three head-to-head, Detroit 2-1, 1-2 covering the spread. The over has hit in one out of the last three matchups. Detroit coming off a 30-12 win over Arizona. Kind of a crazy win for them. Atlanta coming off a 31-13 loss against the Niners. Detroit 5-1 covering in their last 6. We know how bad Detroit is. I can name off tons of stats. Detroit's bad in pretty much every stat here, but as of late, they've been able to cover. That's probably the most important thing here. Atlanta just 1-7 at home, not playing good home football. Their offense has just been pretty bad here, and we'll see if Goff ends up playing Sunday. That's kind of a big question mark. Hopefully Goff does play. That would be nice. I just don't think you can trust this Atlanta team. I mean, I sure don't trust them. Detroit coming off a hot Falcons win, a Cardinals win here. Give me Detroit plus 5.5 on the road. They've been able to cover. Atlanta just hasn't looked great. Naturally, I don't know how the public's going to be, but they're probably going to maybe be all over Atlanta. I just don't see how. Atlanta, there are a lot of games, pretty much most of the season, you just can't trust their offense to really put up points. Detroit, playing good football these last 3 weeks, except for that Denver game. Taking Detroit plus 5.5 on the road. Next matchup, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New York Jets. Jets opening up as 1-point favorites with the over-under at 41.5. The last three head-to-head, Jacksonville 2-1. 2-1 covering the spread. The over has hit in 3 of the last 3 matchups. Jags currently on a 6-game losing streak, coming off a 30-16 loss against Houston. Jets on a 3-game losing streak, coming off a 31-24 loss against Miami. Jacksonville 0-5, covering in their last 5. The unders hitting 8 out of their last 9 games. That's just pretty sad. Jets not much better. I mean, 1-6 in their last 7, 1-4 covering at home. My best advice for this game, stay away. There's no money to be made in this matchup. 2 awful teams here. A Jaguars team where Trevor Lawrence, they barely throw touchdowns. He's only thrown 2 passing touchdowns since Halloween. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So you're not going to get too much offensive production on Jacksonville's end. Taking the Jets money line at home, just because it's a home game for them. They're able to at least be a little bit competitive. They're able to score a little bit. I think the defense will play okay, but Jaguars, hard to trust them here. We'll take the Jets at home in an ugly one. Next matchup, we have the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Houston Texans. Chargers opening up as 10-point favorites with the over-under at 46. The last 3 head-to-head, Houston 2-1, 1-2 covering the spread. The over is hit in 1 out of the last 3 matchups. Be sure to check Austin Eckler's status. He is questionable due to COVID. We'll see if he can return. Otherwise, that'd be a huge loss. Chargers coming off a 34-28 loss against the Chiefs. Houston coming off a 30-16 win over the Jaguars. The Chargers 6-1 covering against Houston, 5-2 in their last 7 against Houston. 6-2 covering on the road right now. Pretty good numbers from the Chargers. Houston 0-6 at home right now. 4-8 covering in their last 12 games. Love the Chargers on the road here. Gonna get a half a point. Get Chargers minus 9.5. Add them to your money line parlays. Next matchup, we have the Los Angeles Rams versus the Minnesota Vikings. The Rams opening up as 3.5-point favorites with the over-under at 49. The last 3 head-to-head, Minnesota 2-1, 2-0-1 covering the spread. The over has hit in 1 out of the last 3 matchups. The Rams coming off a 20-10 win over Seattle. Minnesota coming off a 17-9 win over the Bears. Rams surprisingly 0-5-1 covering against the Vikings. 1-5 in their last 6 against Minnesota. They've struggled here. Big loss for Minnesota though. No Dalvin Cook. He is out. That is a huge loss. Thielen's questionable. Be sure to check Thielen's status if that's swaying you to bet Minnesota. Minnesota's 3-7 covering at home right now. I like the Rams on the road here. Rams starting to play good football in an important time. No Dalvin Cook. Rams, he's probably going to be guarding Jefferson. Think it'll be a tough game for Kirk Cousins here. They're probably going to have to pass a lot, and especially with no Dalvin Cook. And yeah, I like the Rams on the road, getting a -2.5. And yeah, we're rolling with Los Angeles. Next matchup, we have the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles opening up as 10-point favorites with the over-under at 40.5. The last three head-to-head. Philly 1-2, 0-3 covering the spread. The over has hit in 0 out of the last three matchups. Giants coming off a 21-6 loss against Dallas. Philly coming off a 27-17 win over Washington. The Giants, I mean, they've looked so bad here. It's been embarrassing if you're a Giants fan. Sorry. 1-4 covering in their last 5. 0-5 on the road. 0-7 on the road against Philly. Philly looking good right now. 7-0 at home against the Giants. 4-1 in their last 5. Playing great football here in an important time, where they need wins. Two teams trending in opposite directions here. Taking the Eagles -9.5 at home. Add them to your moneyline parlays. All right, next matchup, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Carolina Panthers. The Bucs opening up as 10-point favorites with the over-under at 43. The last three head-to-head, Tampa Bay 2-1. 2-1 covering the spread. The over has hit in 3 of the last 3 matchups. Tampa Bay coming off a crazy 9-0 loss against New Orleans. Absolutely nuts. Carolina on a 4-game losing streak, coming off a 31-14 loss against Buffalo. The Bucs, Chris Godwin out for the season. Leonard Fournette on IR right now, so they'll be missing some players. Possibly getting Antonio Brown back, which is definitely a good boost for them. And yeah, Ronald Jones carrying the load should still be solid here. Tampa Bay 4-1 covering on the road against Carolina. 4-1 in their last 5 against the Panthers. 4-1 covering against the Panthers. Pretty much pure domination against Carolina. Carolina 0-5 covering at home right now. 1-5 covering in their last 6. Yeah, this Panthers team, they've been struggling to score. Hasn't been pretty. The defense has been pretty bad. Give me the Bucs -9.5 on the road. A revenge game and a Bucs team coming off a 0-point performance, which don't think has ever happened in the Tom Brady era. I like the Bucs to bounce back here on the road. Next matchup, we have the Chicago Bears versus the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle opening up as 6.5-point favorites with the over-under at 42.5. The last 3 head-to-head, Seattle 2-1. 2-1 covering the spread. The over has hit in 1 out of the last 3 matchups. Chicago on a 3-game losing streak, coming off a 17-9 loss against Minnesota. Seattle coming off a 20-10 loss against the Rams. Chicago, 0-5 covering in their last 5 games. 1-8 in their last 9. 1-5 on the road against Seattle. Seattle just 2-4 covering in their last 6. 1-6 against the NFC. Neither team playing good here. I mean, tons of issues. I did see Justin Fields miss some practices this week. We'll see if Justin Fields plays. If not, maybe Andy Dalton gets the start here. But to trust the Seattle team -6.5 at home, how can you even do that? Seattle's been awful. Bears haven't been much better. But to take any team in this game, 6.5 points, I mean, not going to do it here. I'm buying a point with Chicago. We're taking the Bears +7.5 on the road. Next matchup, we have the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders opening up as currently a pick'em even spread with the over-under at 41. Both teams 7-7. Pretty big games for both these teams. Both of them need a win. The last 3 head-to-head, the Raiders 3-0, 2-1 covering. The over has hit in 2 out of the last 3 matchups. Denver coming off a 15-10 loss against the Bengals. The Raiders coming off a 16-14 win over the Browns. Denver, I do see no Teddy Bridgewater for the Broncos. Denver 1-7 covering against the Raiders. 1-5 in their last 6 against Vegas. Really no success against Vegas here. Vegas 5-0 covering at home against Denver. I like the Raiders here. No Teddy Bridgewater. We're going to see how they perform on the road. Not in love with this matchup. I really do hate it. In an even spread, 2 teams in must wins, I'm just not in love with it, man. I'm going to take Raiders at home. It's a must win for both teams here, but with no Teddy Bridgewater, very questionable for me to pick the Broncos in this matchup without Teddy. I know Drew Lock is more than capable of getting a win here, but I just don't trust him. Taking the Raiders at home. All right, next matchup, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs opening up as 10-point favorites with the over-under at 45. The last 3 head-to-head, Pittsburgh 2-1. 2-1 covering in those matchups. The over has hit in 1 out of the last 3 matchups. Pitt coming off a 19-13 win over Tennessee. Kansas City coming off a 34-28 win over the Chargers. Kansas City currently on a 7-game win streak. Kansas City's just been on a roll here offensively and defensively. Pitt 1-4 on the road. Not a good road team at all. The Chiefs 5-0 covering in their last 5. 5-0 at home here. Loving the Chiefs. -9.5 at home. They're on a roll. Taking Kansas City here. Next matchup, we have the Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas opening up as 10.5-point favorites with the over-under at 46.5. The last 3 head-to-head, Washington 2-1. 2-1 covering the spread. The over has hit in 1 out of the last 3 matchups. A lot of injuries and concerns for Washington here, especially at quarterback. We'll see who ends up playing at quarterback. Washington coming off a 27-17 loss against Philly. And then, just 2 games ago, they did lose to Dallas 27-20. Dallas on a 3-game winning streak, coming off a 21-6 win over the Giants. Washington 3-8 in their last 11 against Dallas. 3-6 covering against Dallas. Dallas 11-3 covering in their last 14 games. Dallas 10-3, straight up here. Playing great football. 9-0 covering against the NFC. That's a huge stat right there. Buying a point on the Cowboys, taking a -9.5 here. The defense is coming through right now, playing like one of the best defensive teams in the league here. Washington, they've been struggling, a lot of injuries on offense and defense. Give me the Cowboys -9.5 at home. And all these teams I like, take them on the parlay as your moneyline parlays as well. Then the last matchup, we have the Miami Dolphins versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints opening up as 3-point favorites with the over-under at 38.5. The last 3 head-to-head, the Saints 3-0. 3-0 covering. The over has hit in 2 out of the last 3 matchups. Miami riding a 6-game winning streak, coming off a 31-24 win over the Jets. The Saints coming off a 9-0 win over Tampa Bay. I feel like there's going to be some line movement in this game a little bit. No Taysom Hill for the Saints. So Ian Book is going to be the starting quarterback, taking his first snaps of his career up against this good Miami defense and a Miami team that's just on a roll right now. Miami 5-1 covering in their last 6. Saints just 1-4 covering at home here. I would have honestly thought Miami was going to be favorites, just looking at the lines here, especially with Taysom Hill being ruled out. Buying a half a point, and we're taking the Dolphins plus 3.5. And honestly, I like the Dolphins money line as well. I think this line's in their favor because they beat the Bucs 9-0, but in the last few years, the Saints have just for some reason have dominated the Buccaneers for whatever reason. So I don't even look into that game. Their defense is good, yes, but No Taysom Hill. Hard to trust Ian Book at home for the Saints, even though they're going to hand the ball off a lot. I like the Dolphins in this matchup on the road, plus 3.5. And that's going to be it for the video. Good luck with your picks and parlays. Hope you guys all cash out, and I'll see you guys Monday. Have a good one.